Good afternoon. It is Mr. Felson. Today we're going to be looking at Unit 2, Lesson 1, which has to do with order of operations. So today we want to be able to evaluate expressions by combining like terms using order of operations and using the distributive property. The order of operations can be remembered by the saying, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." The P in this situation stands for parentheses, but it could also be represented by a division symbol or square brackets. The E in this situation represents exponents. The M and the D represent multiplication and division, and if we have both of them in the same problem, we want to go from left to right. A and S, of course, stand for addition and subtraction. This also goes from left to right if we have both in the same problem. Let's go ahead and look at a couple examples here and see how we can use this. So for our first example, we have parentheses. But inside those parentheses, we have a 30 divided by 6, and we want to do that first because that is inside of the second set of parentheses. So that should be the first thing that we take care of. So we have 2, we still have the 5, plus 30 divided by 6 is going to be 5, and that is squared. Our next step, we want to take care of everything that's still inside our parentheses, which in this case we have exponents. So we have the 5 squared. That should be the next thing that we do according to order of operations. So we have 2, 5 plus 25. Now, our next step is going to be the 5 plus the 25, since that is inside of our parentheses. We have 2, and then 5 plus 25 is going to be 30. Our final step, we have 2 times 30, so that's going to be 60, which is our final answer. Let's look at the next problem. The next problem, we have a division sign, which can be thought of as a grouping symbol. So what we should be doing is the top part separately from the bottom part. So the top part is 6 plus 4. That's pretty easy to do. We just go ahead and say that is 10. On the bottom, we have 3 squared times 4. So according to order of operations, we should be doing the 3 squared first. So 3 squared is 9 times 4. After that, we just have to do the 9 times 4, so we get 10 over 9 times 4, which is going to be 36. Now, the next step we have to do is simplify this fraction, and I'm going to actually use my calculator to do that. This is the first time that we have done anything like this, so I want to make sure that I am showing you guys how to handle this here. So how I would do this is I say 10 divided by, so I'm pressing the division symbol, 36, and I can press enter. Now that gives me a decimal. I don't want a decimal, so I go to math, which is on the far left side, and the very first option says fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and press enter on that. I press enter one more time, and 5/18 is the fraction that I would want for my final answer. So I'm going to say 5/18 is my final answer. Let's move on to our next problem here. It says to evaluate a squared minus b to the third minus 4c if a equals 7, b equals 3, and c equals 5. So in this case, I'm telling you a is 7, b is 3, and c is 5. So anytime I see an A, I'm going to put a 7 there. Anytime I see a B, I'm going to put a 3 there. Anytime I see a C, I'm going to put a 5 there. So let's go ahead and do that. So in this case, I have A squared, which can be replaced with a 7. So I have 7 squared minus B to the third. So in this case, B is a 3 to the third power minus 4 times C, which is 5 in this case. And then I just need to use order of operations to finish this thing off. So according to order of operations, the very first thing I should be doing is inside my parentheses, which I have exponents inside my parentheses. So I'm going to say 3 cubed. So I have 7 squared minus 3 cubed is going to be 27. minus 4 times 5. Now, I have multiplication inside of my parentheses, so that's going to be my next step. I'm going to say 4 times 5. So I have 7 squared minus 27. 4 times 5 is going to give me minus 20 there. Still inside my parentheses, so I have 7 squared. So I have 7 squared minus 27 minus 20 is going to be positive 7. Once I get here, I have my exponents are going to be my next step. So 7 squared is 49, so I'm going to have 49 minus 7. My final step is simply going to be to subtract those two, so I end up with a 42 is my final answer. Next up, we have to look at the distributive property, which that tells us if we have A and then parentheses B plus C, we can just actually distribute that out, which looks a little something like this. Same thing if we have a subtraction there, we just distribute it out there. So let's evaluate each expression using the distributive property. So I'm going to say 2 times 4 and 2 times t. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. 2 times t is going to be 2t. Those are not like terms, so I cannot combine anything else with them, and I'm all done with the problem. On the other hand, I can go backwards with the distributive property here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 5 times g is going to be 5g. Negative 9 times 5 is going to be negative 45. Those are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. So this is an example of what the distributive property looks like. Let's go ahead and look at our next problem. So this is just using the distributive property. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a 7. 7 times 2x is going to be 14x. 7 times negative 11 is going to be negative 77. I have 3 times 4x and plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3 times 4x is going to be positive 12x. 3 times 6 is going to be positive 18. Now I have to combine some like terms. So I have 14x's here. I have positive 12x's here. So altogether, I have 26 x's. Over here, I have negative 77. I have positive 18. Combined, that is going to be negative 59. Those are not like terms, so there is nothing else I can do with them, and that's going to be my final answer. In order to add or subtract terms, they have to be like terms. Whoops, sorry. So they have to be like terms. Like terms mean they have the same exponents, and those exponents are connected to the same variables. So in this situation, if we have 7x squareds, we're looking for other x squareds. So I would have 3x squareds. I have no other x squareds, so that's good there. I have 4 x's. I'm looking for anything else with just an x. I have 8 x's over here, so that would be a like term. I have 16. There are no other numbers, so 16 is by itself there. I have 5x to the third. I like to do a diamond around that. And x to the third. I have no other x to the third, so there are no other like terms there. I have 7y, I have no other just y's by itself, so those are done. And the final thing I have is a 6xy, so that will be, we'll say a star maybe around that one. And that has no other like terms with it, so we are all done. And as you can see, I'm not very good at drawing stars. So let's go ahead and look at these problems here and combine any like terms that we can. So in this problem, I have 2x's and 9x's. Altogether, I have 11x's. Here I have 3a squared. I have 14a squared. So altogether, I have 17a squareds. I also have an a by itself, so it's just plus a. Next up, I can use the distributive property here. So I have negative 4x squared minus 6x minus 2. That's just using distributive property. None of those are like terms, so I cannot combine them at all. Next problem. I'm going to multiply each one of these things by 1/4. When I do that, 1/4 times 16x is going to be 4x. 1/4 times negative 12 is going to be negative 3y. Negative 4 times 4 is going to be 1z, or just z. That is all for today. Good luck on your homework and have a great day.